So onto the topic then. Business recovery after COVID is quite a challenge. It's been a world crisis which has shaken us all tremendously. We all know people who have suffered. We are all probably closely linked and may well have suffered quite significantly ourselves. And I was talking to an international accreditation organization, education organization, back in April, who said they thought a lot of staff coming back will probably have symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder. I thought, wow, that's a bit of an extreme claim, but I think they're probably right. There will be a lot of underlying issues. So as we recover the business, we need to recover our people to recover the business. And that's why I'm really privileged to introduce John to you. So John Earls and I have been working together recently, and John is an ex-corporate lawyer and has moved from that field into the field of scientific research on the topic of well-being. So I'm going to hand over to John, get started immediately. Thank you very much, and send chat and waves anytime, and then I'll respond to you. So thanks again, and thanks for joining us, John.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mark. I'm just going to attempt to share my screen. Let's see if I can get this working okay. Mark, you could maybe let me know once it's up. And let's just see if we can get this into a presentation view for everybody. There we go. So, good morning, and hope that everybody's okay. So, thanks for Mark introducing us, and thank you for you all coming. So, this is a session discussing mindfulness business recovery, and I think that the title is useful because mindfulness, business, and recovery, I think, are three areas that I want to cover today. Mindfulness in this context is going to cover a multitude of things, and I think that we all have connotations when we attach to the word mindfulness. In this session, what mindfulness means is the ability to connect with ourselves, with our emotions and our feelings, and to connect with our teams and our companies. Business is the workplace that you work in, you know, the way you go each day, what you do from 9 to 5. The people that you spend most of your life with, and recovery. Well, how do we go, like Mark said, from this you know, completely unique situation that we're in with COVID? How do we go from what that's done to our workplaces, our businesses, into the future, and into the future in a very positive way? Mindfulness business recovery, therefore, is looking at how those three elements can work together to make your businesses thrive and survive when you come through this period of, well, very big change. So, myself, I did an MSc in mindfulness and compassion, a master's degree, essentially psychology, and I'm currently doing a PhD at Warwick University. So the PhD is aimed at using mindfulness and yoga. So MBSR, if you know what MBSR is, it's mindfulness-based stress reduction. When people talk about mindfulness, that's what really they're referring to, is this MBSR. So it's how to use mindfulness and yoga to reduce burnout in the workplace. So that's what my PhD is in. I was a corporate lawyer for many years, and selling a business and buying, you know, another business, investing in various things, working in law, comes with a high level of stress. And I was very stressed. I ended up being burned out myself. So I ended up in a state where I couldn't function. Mindfulness seemed to work with the mental side of things. Yoga worked with the physical stress. The combination of the two was a holistic recovery program, I would say, where I was completely recovered. I would say that there were still issues I needed to deal with. There was, you know, I went to speak to business coaching and get further advice about how to manage my business better. So I took, you know, steps which we're going to cover in here, and why that's important too. But it was the mindfulness and yoga that brought me into a state of calm, and allowed me to start to connect with how I felt. So that was that's my journey, and that's why I'm doing what I'm doing now. Okay, so let's move away from me for a moment. These are the subjects that we're going to cover today.
I just wanted a comment from Lydia.
Yeah.
On the success box. Thank you, Lydia, for that point. Lydia's saying that, that the positive attitude, talking about success, is infectious. It actually provides
Yes.
an energy for people to want to do more.
Right, guys, burnout. Let me give you a bit of context. Burnout has never clearly been defined. There's no definitive version of burnout. I was going to say mind out then. Burnout. No definitive version. However, we've all got an idea in our head, don't we, of what burnout is. To give you a general context, burnout is the end of the stress spectrum. So if you think of stress as being a spectrum of colours, you know, day one, you might be, you know, a little bit stressed, a bit of anxiety, you've got a presentation to do, but then it goes, you come to the end of the day, you're with your son, you're, you know, reading your books and everything's great and the stress goes down. And, well, imagine burnout is this build-up, this continual stress that doesn't just stop on day one, it continues, it continues, it continues, it continues, it continues, until you get to the end of the stress spectrum, and then you enter a burnout spectrum. So you could go from like blue, green, yellow, red, 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 and dark red, purple, black. So that's a little bit of context about burnout, stress-related. Stress, I mean, we could go on for hours about all this, but I wanted you to just have a think. What would you think of as the 3 core elements of burnout? So yes, these aren't definitive, but the experts, Maslach and Jackson, if you're interested to look them up, they're the leading expert in workplace burnout. Maslach and Jackson have identified 3 areas that they've said over thousands and thousands of cases of research into burnout, that these 3 elements are usually always present.
And exhaustion has been mentioned. For that one. Sol, thank you for that. Signs of depression. Yep. Sleeping problems have been mentioned. Irritated. Thank you, Natasha. Irritated, snappy, tired. So yeah, mood changes.
All right, brilliant. Yeah, and it's interesting for me because nearly everyone has centered on the most obvious point. And this is obviously where we go to straight away. So Maslach and Jackson say that there's 3 key elements. Emotional exhaustion is what a lot of you are describing. So that's where you're at the end of your emotional spectrum. You haven't got any emotions left really to deal with even the small minor things. You can become depressed. You can become anxious. Someone might say, oh, John, that cup of coffee didn't put enough milk in it. Oh, you blow up. You're irritable, angry, cry at the littlest things, you have difficulty concentrating because your mind's racing around. So everyone, I think, knows this one. And that's like I would say probably even the first symptoms that start to be presented, because it's very stress related. These other 2 are really interesting, particularly in the workplace. Avoidance is the second one that is noticed a lot by Maslach and Jackson. That is avoidance of the workplace. People suddenly don't want to go into work. They don't want to pick up the telephones. They don't want to look at emails. They don't want to be around people. They self-isolate. I mean, we can talk about self-isolation as well within COVID. People being isolation is a thing called isolation syndrome, and that raises depression. But that's the thing with stress, is it creeps up slowly. So a lot of burnout work surrounds teaching people how to recognize the signs of burnout, how to recognize the signs of stress, not just healthy stress, but stress that is built up to levels that is actually going to cause you problems, and then giving you the tools then to manage that stress, lower it, and prevent it. Stress is preventative, but it needs to be an intentional part of your work day and your strategy as a person going to work. I have a strategy each day. I wake up and do certain types of exercises and mindfulness practice to make sure that I'm focused at work and that I manage my stress, because I know that I won't if I don't do those practices. Okay, so we're going to move on to a practical exercise now. Hope you enjoy this, but just to let you know, there's a few trends that are going to be seen throughout 2020. Number 1 is stress. So it's the number 1 stress. So number one trend throughout the workplace is burnout. It's the thing that's on the tip of everyone's tongues. And this was probably exacerbated by the COVID situation, but even before COVID, it was up there. These are just a few reports and things. You can get a copy of the slides or the recording, so you can look at those. But this is just some interesting reports. Mindful leaders. All right, guys. Last one of the interactivity. You don't have to do any more chats after this. Please just let me know what you think a mindful leader is. Just a few seconds. The leaders that I love the most, that I put the extra effort in for, that I will, put the extra hours in. I'll work hours and not get paid for. They're the people who I know care about me. They genuinely care about how I feel. They want me to succeed. They're aware of their impact upon me. Have you ever had like a boss and you think, well, he's not a bad guy, but he says all these things and it really hurts? Not aware. Awareness is a massive part of mindfulness. To have a leader who is aware of their actions, aware of their impact, aware of how they're feeling, because their feelings are going to impact on us. To have a mindful leader is to have a leader that you will put in that extra energy for. Just notice how connecting with those feelings has made you feel, how it's made you change. Why is that important to connect with your feelings? Well, because if you're aware of your feelings, you're aware of the impact upon your actions. And that's very important in the workplace, as you well know. I won't dwell on this slide because I'd like to move on. There's a few little bits, but there's some information there, about the impact upon employee experience between a mindful modern leader and the traditional form of leadership. I think we're all aware of the benefits from the comments that are coming in, but it's just some information, some interesting stats there for people. Last one, intentional well-being. Okay, so there's a few things that companies can do, and one of the things is working with a company like Goodfoot. Another thing is developing the culture and practices, internally. We can have a mixture of the two things. What we're looking to promote here is this idea of having an assessment-based model, so that you look at what the current company is doing, where you can make improvements, having diagnostic tools to help you with that. To finish on this slide, so we've got at Goodfoot, we have developed a 7-webinar series which we've covered some of the topics: stress, burnout, resiliency, business recovery, developing happiness culture. You can see this on the slide.
Thanks, John, very, very much. So I'll put my video on. John, if you want to end your screen share for me, that would be great.
Yeah, we'll do.
And I just wanted to thank everybody so much for being around. What I suggest is there's 5 minutes to prepare for the next meeting or get another coffee or whatever. But we're really happy to hang around. So I'm going to unmute everybody. Please feel free to leave, or please feel free to switch on your videos and chat for a few minutes, or feel free to leave your video off and chat, whatever works for you.